Yeah, yeah, yeah. Huh. Yeah. It's percolating. Good morning. Yeah. Good morning to the people on Facebook. Good morning to the people on IG. Good morning to the people on the YouTube. Good morning to the people on LinkedIn and Twitter too. Java. Percolating. Get a vibe, stay ready. Truth in the cup, keep it strong, keep it steady. Pull up a chair, yeah. Take a sip with me. Good morning, good people. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Love percolating. Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good morning. Yeah, the love percolating. Yeah, Java with Jimmy. Good morning. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy. Percolating. Yeah, we in it. Yeah, we in it. Good morning. Good morning. Java with Jimmy.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It's sort of obvious that you all found out yesterday that I am. Ooh, let me get together here. That I am out of town. So, as we always do when there's a different setup, just let me know if you can hear me and make sure that we're good. We are having a very interesting conversation today, and it is something that I have brought up a little bit in reference to environmental justice, climate change, and things like that. And a couple of months ago, I had an opportunity to host the fourth iteration of TEDx Roxbury, my third time, I think, hosting. And I heard a talk from this brother that talked about trees. And so, and for those of us that are I'll say, well, I don't even say youthful. For those of us that understand different terminology of God's green earth, trees could mean a multiplicity of things. However, we're talking about trees that are planted that contribute, help clear the air, better our oxygen, and provide shade. And so we're going to talk with our guest in just a minute. However, I want to deviate for just a couple of seconds and I'm waiting to see if they jump on. I may have to do it after, but I wanted to say a very, very special happy birthday to Brother Miguel Fuentes. This is my brother, son, friend, advisor, critiquer, challenger, huge part of the reason I'm in Puerto Rico. And so I just really want to wish this brother, oh Jesus, and my other brothers in here talking about, ain't you on vacation? I want to wish him a very, very special happy birthday. So I just wanted to say that for him. Mom, go ahead and tag him so he can jump on, and we'll do it at the end of the show as well. And so I just wanted to pause to wish him a happy birthday, and also as my forever brother-in-law just mentioned, I appreciate everyone that reached out yesterday in reference to that sort of release post that I put up. I feel a whole lot better, and I was determined to be really on vacation. So I'm not going to belabor my guest any longer, and I'm getting ready to bring Brother Trey Williams into the Java Cafe. And we're going to talk about trees this morning. Give us some example. Oak, palm,
birch,
mer-
maple,
merch. Okay, maple. Yeah, those type of trees.
birch.
Oh, perch. I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah.
said merch. I was going to say coming up with all those M type of trees is, there's a few examples of M trees. But Brother Trey, it's good to have you in the Java Cafe. Thank you so much for your patience. It's been almost a couple of months of trying to get you booked, and so I'm glad to have you here. I'm going to ask you to greet the audience, and then also in reference to a presumption that Black folks aren't as engaged with environmental justice and climate change, your knowledge, post your research, and the current state of things. There's a lot there. After your greeting, give me one word for the status of trees.
Mm.
I know you're apt to do it, but Good morning, brother.
Hey, good morning, and good morning, everyone. My name is Trey Williams, fourth generation Roxbury resident, data scientist by trade, and somebody who went looking for the receipts in my zip code on why my neighborhood cost me 20 years of my life. And then the follow up, the one word that represents the current state of the environment, especially as it pertains to Roxbury, is disastrous.
Disastrous. Okay, we're really going to have that conversation. And so I'm going to be honest and authentic. You're a Black man, you're fourth generation Roxbury, you're an engineer. And it's a good thing, but you're one of the first people that I'm aware of that we share a demographic. We're from the hood. And you went out and did a whole lot of research around trees. I appreciate it. And so let's begin. Tell us a little bit of, somebody already commented and gave their own word. They said critical. Give us a little bit of who you are and what led to this being on your radar like this. And bringing attention. And there's another word that we're going to use, and I'm trying to refrain from saying it, but I know it's going to come up because one thing that stood out in the TEDx talks was the canopy effect.
Yeah.
And that's major for our urban jungles and things like that. So a little bit more of who you are and ending with how you got to this being on your radar and how you just dove in and just really promoting environmental justice, but with so many good byproducts for our area.
Yeah, no worries. So I kind of got my start working with Hero Nurturing Center, the Healing Empathy Redemption Oasis, alongside Judith Foster. And as I was on the board, she had this idea. She wanted to start creating mini healing forests throughout the city because the canopy just didn't exist in a lot of Black areas. And I ask this question all the time, but if you're born in Dorchester or Roxbury, especially Roxbury, name one park with more than 10 trees that you can go for a walk in. That's close to a house or your apartment that you grew up in. And most folks do not have that access. And it's incredibly important to think about that, right? That most people have to travel almost 5 to 10 miles to get to a Franklin Park or an Arboretum or the Finns in order to gain access to this green space. And it makes you question, why is that the case? Which led myself and Judy down this path where I decided to take a closer look at Roxbury to understand what was actually happening underneath the hood, so to speak. And what we found was pretty stark, right? Not only did we not have enough trees to just manage the building emissions, but the area that I grew up in, right next to Dudley, right, is a major commuter hub. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of cars coming in and out of that area, flying down Harrison Ave, Washington Street, Warren Street, right, Dudley Street, and then not even factoring in Mass Ave in the connector. And just the human byproduct of carbon emissions that humans naturally generate. But we're seeing this vast, rapid expansion in Roxbury, right? We're talking multiple apartment buildings, right, that are going up. And we have no way to counteract all of these carbon emissions, right? We're already top 10% environmental justice concerns in the entire United States of America. And so I just really wanted to understand, why was it that our population down in Roxbury and in Dorchester were suffering, and suffering in a way that was profound, especially when you start to think about trees, right, as critical infrastructure that we all need.
It is definitely, something I shared with you in the pre-show, to be perfectly honest, that environmental justice, and the impact on, and we'll go into this in a few minutes, the impact on living in an area where there's the emissions you talk about, but then where more construction, and we need more housing. We absolutely need more housing, but that in certain areas, when it's real hot, the sun heats up the concrete. And even in the evening when the sun goes down, that contributes to the heat. And so, I wanted to ask a little bit as you were talking. Yes, we need the development. We need more housing. And this is sort of off the cuff, based on your defining of what got you into the research. Do you believe that as much as we're doing the more housing and erecting more buildings, there's this parking requirement? Do you think we should have some sort of tree requirement with these developments?
100,000%. It should be mandatory for every building. And I think you brought up a good point, because let's go down Harrison Ave, especially towards Tabor Street, where there's a Pier Green and a few other apartment complexes that have went up, especially the Marios, where it was eminent domained. Right, because city employees needed housing, or at least that was the alleged reason. And I think about these things, and has any trees gone up? Have any trees been planted in those areas? Or are we now just going to inject a larger population into a very dense space, right? So we're not improving it, but we do need, yes, more trees should be planted alongside buildings.
I mean, as you're talking, and we'll get back to kind of a couple other questions I have, but now you mentioned density, you're bringing more people, and we all, it's good to be in community, but sometimes density in certain housing spaces contribute to, maybe people feeling like not closed in, but you know what I mean, where there's more of us. And I'll kind of move into this. With more of us and less of canopies, it leads to potential, maybe more violence, different type of issues. And so can I ask you, I mentioned that word canopy. With the housing, and thank you, I do agree that there should be mandatory tree allotments. I did hear that, by your observation, that's not happening as it should. All right, another quick side question, yes or no. Have you brought this to the attention of any of our elected officials yet?
So currently there is a bill in study, S8791, and it is about prescribing nature as a prescription, essentially, right? And it would allow patients to be able to receive doctor's note, more or less, to go into nature, as in and instead of the alternative, which could be, staying in a mental facility, doing some types of retreats, anything of that. But instead, you would be able to go up to the Blue Hills, and you'd be able to get a day off of work, right, to immerse yourself in nature. And then even going back to your building point, in the research that I've conducted, it should be one tree for every 5 individuals. So whenever we're thinking about the people that are moving into these places, right, if it's going to accommodate 250 people, we need to have one tree for every 5 in that building, right? But yeah, I think in terms of that, but the bill sponsor is Senator Liz Miranda. We've had several conversations. I know she's been a very vocal sponsor for this bill on behalf of Judith Foster. But outside of that, we haven't necessarily received a lot of support outside of the House and Senator Liz Miranda.
So thank you for that update. And there is a bill, so there is some action. And then whenever you need to, and I heard you say the committee sent it to study, which, that can get interesting in the state legislature. But at some point, I'll be sure to mention this. I don't know who's our environmental, if there's even an environmental committee on the city council, but I'll mention this to a couple of the city councils as well, because while there's legislation at the state for that, which is dope, maybe the city a couple of councilors can think about putting in some sort of home rule petition around further developments in Boston. They probably not get to 1 tree for every 5 people, but maybe they'll compromise and legislate 1 for 10, or I don't know. Let's talk about canopies. What is that? Generally, we know what that means. It's a covering, but in reference to Roxbury, urban communities, the hood, what has your research showed you about canopies or lack thereof? And also in that, what was the most surprising of your research in this space?
So in terms of canopy is a representation of again tree growth, right? So when we're thinking about the actual trees and where they're at, we're not discussing saplings, right? So in their very initial stages, but adult trees where they have enough space to actually cover a block, cover a house, and create actual shade and provide several critical pieces of infrastructure, right? Stormwater management being one of them, heat management being another, but also cleaning the air. And so when you actually look in Roxbury, there are only 3,832 trees as of last year when I conducted this research, which is not enough to say the least. We can also perform the same study in Dorchester, and they're also lacking it. So we have some of the highest cancer rates as a result, some of the highest hazardous air quality, and not to mention that we're a huge heat island, especially in Roxbury. So on those days when I used to be outside playing as a kid and trying to understand why it was so hot and I couldn't escape the heat, it was due to the lack of trees. But without that education, you wouldn't know any better, right? And so for the people in Jamaica Plain and West Roxbury who have the largest amount of canopy amongst all of Bostonians, we're not even talking about the folks in East Boston if we're trying to be impartial, right? But we are essentially being attacked on all fronts, right? And on those hot days like we've had these last couple of weeks, where do you go to escape other than your house?
And let's, presumably you have AC, but if you don't
Yes.
have AC, then you're still dealing. And even if in the house and it's hot outside, at least if there's a canopy and, basically sitting up under a tree
Exactly.
can have an impact.
And
what
then
go ahead.
Oh no, and then the most surprising thing about the research was the life expectancy gap for me, right? 92 and 69. That completely blew me away. You're expected to live until 92 if you're born in if you're born in Back Bay, and 69 if you're born in Roxbury. And that's only a recent study, right? So 30 years ago, that same gap was 33 years, right? So it's just baffling to me that we live in a city where 2 miles away, you have a better quality of life than what was once a historic and still is, in my opinion, a very historic town with a lot of history. And yet these people that are now residing there don't have a fighting chance at life.
What with this research and your commitment to it, what is your end goal, as far as it, and you can state numbers, you can state areas. What is your end goal? And then I want to ask why and how, and I'm just going to say it, Black folks need, and there's some presumption, why more Black people need to be educated, involved, and proactive about environmental justice. It's not just the water. It's this piece that you're talking about as well. So what's your end goal? And then how do we help you get there? And why is it important for us to help you get there?
I appreciate that. Yeah. So my end goal is to plant at least 13,000 trees in the next 5 years. It'll only cost us roughly $9 million up front, but the net economic value of this is $33 million, right? So that means that we're making almost $5 back for every dollar spent. And not only will these 13,000 trees clean the air, but they're going to provide critical infrastructure that towns like Roxbury, towns like Dorchester, and many others throughout the city truly need, right, in order to maintain and sustain themselves, especially as we continue to see a lot of these new developments going up. Now, in terms of what help I need, obviously, when they need, it's a multifaceted approach, right?
You frame that very well. It's a multifaceted.
You're gonna need some political support, right? Some philanthropic support.
Yes.
We gotta need some boots on the ground in terms of arborists and many volunteers, right? And people from the community to participate in this, and not only a paradigm shift, but a shift in how we begin to live in and commune in these neighborhoods, right? It's incredibly important. You have to think about your kids as you're raising them, your grandchildren, not only that, but your other family members and neighbors in these communities, right? Again, this isn't just a Black problem. We have tons of people moving into these communities unaware of the effects that this environment is going to have on their bodies. And so we have to be thinking about that, not only for ourselves, but for the future. Right. This is a 30-year commitment. And I think a lot of people think we just plant the tree and walk away. It's more than that, right? We have to be there, just like we're raising our own children. We have to raise these trees.
So this is an investment in the actual physical trees, if I understand you right. 13,000 within the next 5 years, you said?
Correct. We could do it in two. We could do it in two, but yeah, I'm gonna yeah.
And so, with that being said, I also recognize, to your point about the life expectancy gap, there's also a instantaneous benefit of making this investment. Correct. That the life expectancy may extend. Do you agree? Well, what are some of the other impacts? If you, let's say Bill Gates, ex-wife, let's say somebody is watching and they hit me up talking about Mr. Java, who's that brother? And I got 12 million. What are all the benefits that come from investing in this and having 13,000 more trees? What are some of the other sort of unspoken, unseen, but good major impacts from this, focusing on this?
Well, first, right, number one, cleaner air, right? Again, we're in the top 10% of all environmental justice concerns, right? So that means hazardous, the air is hazardous, not only the cancer risk really high, right, but even exposure to hazardous waste in our communities, right? So trees would have a direct impact on cleaning that air, right? We're talking about some of the highest cancer rates in the entire country, and we're the ones that are dying. So right off the top, we could start there. Secondly, the heat island effect, right? We're almost 5 to 10 degrees hotter than any other communities, and I'm referring to Roxbury here, right? And so we're talking about 2 to 3 degrees cooler by just planting these trees, and that is a major relief, especially for the 20,000 plus heat. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the word here, but people that are being impacted by the heat, right? So elderly and the children, and then lastly, stormwater infrastructure. A lot of our streets are uneven as is. A lot of it has not been maintained well. And so when it rains hard, I mean, it is literally destroying our infrastructure, right? Our ability to get to and fro wherever we're going. And then we're going back again to these heat vulnerable individuals, our elderly and our young people. What are they supposed to do when they don't have anybody to call? They can't get those necessities, right, that get them through the day. I can't go grocery shopping. I can't go driving, right? I can't step outside because of this poorly maintained infrastructure around me. So we're talking a multitude of effects that not only impact just the younger people, but will really help this elderly population that has raised us.
Absolutely. I want to also ask, is there any, by your observation, is there, and if there are there any mental health benefits of having these additional 13,000 trees in place? And if so, what are some of those benefits?
Yeah, I know Judy's probably yelling at me for not bringing this up and talking about the high level stuff. But that is the most critical piece, and that was her mission. A lot of people that suffer from traumatic experiences find that being in nature helps them relax and recenter, recalibrate. Not only a reduction in cortisol levels, right? But just being able to really feel and become one with nature again. One of the individuals that testified on behalf of this bill was a former drug addict who was brought to tears by one of Judy's nature walks, where she walked him through the big Blue Hills. And he said at that point, he was able to reconnect with himself. And not only did he continue to go to the Blue Hills in Franklin Park to heal himself, but he has now been clean for 10 to 15 years. And he now advocates for other drug addicts and other abusers to go out into the nature to find themselves again. So I think it's incredibly important, not only for your mental health, but for the infrastructure as well.
Can I ask, do palm trees have that same that's what I get for trying to be almost lost my whole keyboard. Do palm trees have that same impact, sir?
Hey, all trees, right? As long as it's not invasive, I'm just playing. But no, all trees, right? As long as it's performing its ecological function, we're all set. Yeah.
All right. I just needed to, and if there's a beach and a balcony, somewhere near that tree, that is a mental health benefit as well. So how can, away from the 9 million, how can everyday residents support you, get involved? Or is there a space or website where I tell my audience all the time, you may not be able to donate 500, but if 100 of you donated $5, I don't know if that's something that you have in place. I don't know when the bill will come out of committee. And then we need to start calling and putting support behind that. How can everyday residents and the audience get involved to be educated and then also mobilized?
So we're hosting a lot of different events over at Hero Nurturing Center. I'll pass that information along to Jimmy, but again, the expert, the subject matter expert here, Judith Foster, has been doing this for close to 2 decades now, in and around Dorchester and Roxbury. We do nature walks where we're thinking about doing a couple workshops to perform this education. We're currently working at different Boston public libraries to spread this message. We recently spoke at Codman Square Library as well. So there are a multitude of ways. Also 311, you can also contact the city to plant a free tree right in front of your house, which I also thought was pretty cool. The CPA, the Conservation Protection Agency.
Conservation Preservation Act.
Conservation Preservation Acts. Thank you so much, Jimmy. They also have many different ways that we can apply for grants to transform neighborhoods to include different green spaces as well. And then just a local effort. A lot of people forget that private property is your property, meaning that if you have the ability to plant trees, we have a lot of underutilized space in churches, right, and parks and in different I guess community buildings that we can also plant at, right? And we don't necessarily need to have to go through these sort of city red tape legislations in order to get those things done. So that's what I would do. And then obviously I'll pass my contact information along. I've been working with a few individuals that I met at TEDx. So any and all support to make this happen would be great.
Absolutely. And please pass on the information and I'll get that to the audience. And if you do the educational forums, please let us know because I'll get that out there as well. There was something you said around the impact in it. I'm not even going to try to front and see if I can remember. But this is something, everyone, that is that I suggest that we prioritize because I've been sharing with the audience, Trey, that, I don't know how much you've been keeping up with like the budget cuts and there's a lot of conversation around White Stadium.
Mhm.
Separately, use of the green space at Franklin Park for the public. I don't know if you saw that thread, and there
Yep.
was and so this is really key. So this is something we need to pay attention to. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, with what's going on with White Stadium, I don't know, and I don't know if this was kind of particularly or specifically, if you're going to look at it or looked at it, but with the construction in that area, Franklin Park,
Mhm.
were any trees removed or prop, kind of
Hundreds,
on the spot, huh?
hundreds of trees, not only in White Stadium, but over in Franklin Park. It's yeah, I'm kind of speechless as somebody who frequents Franklin Park very often, especially closer towards the Shattuck is where a lot of that construction is actually happening. Yeah, a lot of trees were cut down. I don't have the exact estimates, but I
Okay,
could tell you it's greater than
it's
100
over 100,
trees. Yeah,
and presumably those were
fully
OG
healthy adult trees, right?
OG veteran
Yeah.
type trees that have been there for. And in fairness, the developers, the city, and whatnot have probably made, let's say they made a 3 time, whatever we took up, we're going to plant times 3 trees. To your point, the impact
Mhm.
of the canopy that will come and the cleaning of the air, that's going to take what, 20,
30
25
years,
years?
30 years, right?
So, two observations there with that 30 years. One is good, because earlier you talked about the long-term investment in a
Mhm.
proactive non hear me out, in a proactive non-replanting to make up for trees you removed. The bad thing about that is, to that point, it's going to take 30 years to make up the removal of those. And to hear that happen in Franklin Park is just interesting. So,
Yeah.
brother, I appreciate you. You stay encouraged in what you're doing. Please keep us abreast. And as I run into these elected officials, I'll be sure to kind of raise this. I don't think the city council has an environment. I'm not sure, an environmental justice committee,
Mhm.
but public health, um, public safety, what's another area? Economic development. Like this is all related. Do you
Well,
agree?
well, the thing is, I mean, if trees are providing everything that I just said, then essentially all of those budgets can fund the trees.
When you said all the the budget, and then, because that's just a very active topic right now. So, brother Trey, two things. One, I want to let you get where I told you I would hold you till 10:30, and then two, I gotta get back to my palm trees.
All right.
Brother, I appreciate you. And again, please, please keep us abreast of what you're doing. We're going to be in contact. And just in case he's watching, let me go over on Instagram real quick.
And
Uh,
let me just say one more thing, and I
Go
really do
ahead.
appreciate everything that you guys have done for me here, and I really do appreciate this opportunity, Jimmy. And I just want to say, right, let's finish off with what Olmsted left open, which was the Emerald Necklace. There were 2 additional parks that were supposed to be finished in Boston, and we need to
Where
start a
can I ask a
revolution.
question? Where?
Yeah.
Where were those two
So
additional
they were
parks?
technically was supposed to be through Roxbury and Back Bay, and then one closer up towards East Boston.
Okay. And to
Uh,
your point, shout out to Senator Lydia Edwards that often talks about that area being forgotten. Raise that point as well. Not just Roxbury, Dorchester. Marginalization and inequities demonstrate themselves not just in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, greatly there. But I just had to highlight, naming East Boston as well. So Roxbury was supposed to get one,
yep.
and Back Bay in East Boston.
Yes. And then yeah, last thing I'll say is sometimes the revolution doesn't always look like a fist in the air. Sometimes it looks like a shovel in the ground. But thank you for your time, everyone.
You gonna drop that and then talk about thank you for your? I almost said something. Brother Trey, we'll talk. I'm gonna send you a nice little colorful text based on that nugget you that say it again. Hold on. Say it again.
The revolution doesn't always look like a fist in the air. Sometimes it looks like a shovel in the ground.
All right, brother. I'll get back in touch with you after the next 6 days, and let's talk. Hey, but the other thing I wanted to mention: employment, because you get the contract and you got to do these trees. You're employing people.
Correct.
All right, get off of here because I now my brain is.
And again, I have all of this. I'll share the research. Everything is published. I have a Medium article that's a 5-minute read. I have a more technical paper that's published. If you want to get into the nitty gritty, but it's all accessible, right, for any and all people.
Now, I referenced the website. Do you have a website for this yet?
Give me 1 second. I do not have a website.
Put it right there in the private chat.
Yes, I will put this here, and folks, this one is like I said, a little bit more accessible.
This is definitely. Oh, this is a long one. Jesus, hold on. Let me click it and see. Oh, hold on, y'all. We're going to see. No, because the platform it acts funny sometimes. But let me see if I can get this in the comments, and it'll be hyperlinked for the audience so they can go and see it right there. It looks like it'll be fine. Hold on for 1 second. I think it looks like it hyperlinked properly. So if you all want, this is to the Medium article, and this is, will there be other information or how to contact or how to get involved in there? Okay.
Yep.
So this is the Medium article, and hold on, let me go to the James page before they let me have it to make sure they have the link as well. But this is where you all can go in real time. It's hyperlinked right here and get more information. And people are resonating with that statement that you made there. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Shovel. Snaps fingers. So yeah, this is definitely important.
And then that's the Hero Nurturing Center, and that's all I got for you, Jimmy. I really
okay. No. I mean that is these 2 links will be enough. I'll share these on the James page in a second. Keep me abreast, brother. And we'll be in contact. And tell brother I said what's up, and
hey, shout out Cheddar.
yeah. All right, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Take care.
Have a good one, bro.
Likewise.
I hope you all enjoyed this and also got some good information, because I'm surprised. I'm just surprised by a couple of things that he shared. So this is something this needs to be on our radar. It does. The mental health impact, the ability to go right now. If you live on Humboldt Ave, outside of walking up to Franklin Park, ooh, what happened to the camera? Outside of walking to Franklin Park, Dina told me bye. Outside of walking to Franklin Park, can you just go sit under a tree? So need to pay attention to this and make sure that when Brother Trey shares information about the bill, and I'm going to start mentioning this to a couple of city councilors as I see them, to make sure that we can look at this in Roxbury. I see that Brother Fuentes is here. Happy birthday, dude. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, and all that good stuff. I said a whole bunch of good stuff about you earlier. But it is definitely, this is something that we definitely need to pay attention to. I just saw a couple of comments. Author said that the city, I wish I read this while Trey was on. The city took out a tree next to my home. I asked if, since the sidewalk was being fixed, they would be planting a new tree. The response from the city official was, we may not be able to replant one, but if I wanted, I could plant something. I mean, what he said about your private property art, yeah. All right, I got a note here to end, and I'm going to get ready to do that. There will be no Java tomorrow. I'm going to enjoy myself. So There will be no Java tomorrow. We will be back Monday on the 22nd. I wanted to take a moment and wish everybody a happy Juneteenth. Again, happy birthday to my brother, my son, that's yells me. Excuse me for 1 second. What's the sense of putting the privacy thing on the door if they still gonna knock? Sorry, that just because I ain't expecting nobody to knock at my door. All right, let me get off of here. No Java tomorrow. And it's your birthday. You the birthday. Anyway. Quiet Turner, if you're referring to the 311 where you can call to ask for a tree, we did refer to that. Yeah. All right, I'm getting off of here, Dina. Listen. Know that if that was the case, there would be no surprise knock at the door. In that case, I'm going to get off of here. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on Monday, June 22nd. Be safe, be careful, enjoy community, enjoy your Black joy, and then also be intentional around how we can take a lot of the principles of Kwanzaa and all year incorporate them in this spirit of Juneteenth and celebrating our freedom while it's actively trying to be taken. Just think about that on a serious note. All right. We'll see you guys. And that's it. We'll see you guys Monday at 10.